This is a story of how one man and his best friend are saving Super Smash Bros. Melee in 2022. For those of you who might not know what Melee is, here's a quick clip. About 21 years and a couple months ago, Nintendo released a game called Super Smash Bros. Melee. A game that was riddled with bugs and glitches that was originally meant to be a fun party game soon became one of the most competitive fighting games of all time. Traditional fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Guilty Gear are known to have complicated button inputs, extensive move lists, difficult movesets, as well as lengthy built-in natural combos. Melee has none of that. What makes Melee unique is that it offers incredible freedom of movement. For those of us willing to put the time into arduous training sessions to grind out Melee's technical skills, there is nothing else like it. This obviously begs the question, how difficult is executing in Super Smash Bros. Melee? Learning how to perform many of the basic movement options is a barrier of entry for competitive Melee. Many of these movement options require extremely precise inputs to execute correctly. Let's take SHFFL or shuffling for example. Shuffling stands for short hop, fast fall, L cancel. It is made up of, you guessed it, 3 parts. Part 1, the short hop. There are 2 kinds of jumps in Melee based around a mechanic called the jump squat. When you tap the jump command, the character enters a crouch pose. This crouch pose is called a jump squat. If you hold the jump input for the duration of the crouch, your character will jump as high as they can, or full hop. If you hold the jump input for less than the duration of the crouch, your character will perform a short hop. The window to perform a short hop can be anywhere between a fifth to an eighth of a second. The next step is the fast fall. Fast falling is simply the act of falling more quickly while airborne. It is performed by tapping down after the apex of your jump. If you tap the button too early, you won't fast fall. If you tap the button too late, you won't receive the full benefit of the action. Each character in Melee has different fast fall timings. Here's a list of them if you're so inclined. Finally, L canceling or lag canceling. Landing after an aerial on average puts your character in a third of a second of landing lag. L canceling, by pressing the L, R, or Z buttons 0.2 seconds before you land, allows you to cut this landing lag in half. Put all of that together and you've got one of Melee's most basic technical skills. Yeah, that's right, I said basic. A skill that requires you to have almost picture-perfect execution down to a 20th of a millisecond is basic in Melee. Amateur games do this hundreds of times with perfect execution. Heck, even I do it hundreds of times in my games, and I suck at Melee. Professional Melee players are not only shuffling multiple times a game, but also performing other mind-bogglingly difficult execution tests hundreds of thousands of times a game with 99% accuracy. But regardless of how difficult it is to be good at Melee, the heart of the game has always been its community. To truly appreciate this vibrant community, we must quickly dive into the history of the game's competitive scene. The first Melee tournaments were held in California by Matt Daisy Dahlgren in 2002. This was a formative period for Melee. During this time, the community agreed upon a standardized rule set which shaped the future of not only competitive Melee, but all future Smash games. On March 1st, 2003, IVGF held the first corporate-sponsored Smash Bros. Tournament. From 2004 to 2006, Melee was featured in the MLG Pro Circuit, and by 2007, Melee found itself among the ranks of EVO. EVO is the longest running large-scale fighting game tournament of all time. Melee was dropped from all large-scale tournament circuits when its successor Super Smash Bros. Brawl released in 2008. This caused Melee to enter a phase of steady decline. Perhaps the greatest story of Melee's community came in 2013. This time, the head of EVO started a community poll on Facebook to see what game would make the final slot for its roster. At the conclusion of this poll, Melee was nowhere to be seen. A fan-made game occupied this final slot, but just as everyone had given up hope, Hasbro blocked the fan-made game from even entering EVO. Suddenly, Melee found itself neck and neck with its competitors in a charity drive to determine who gets the final slot. And at the final hour, Melee's community pooled together its resources and with one final push secured a spot in EVO 2013. Participating in EVO 2013 ushered what became known as Melee's Platinum Age. Around this time, it became a part of several large-scale tournaments, including the Big House, which was the first official Nintendo sponsorship of a community-run event. 15 years after the game's release, with 2,372 entrants, EVO 2016 would go on to become the largest Melee tournament of all time. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Melee was in trouble once more. COVID had virtually shut down all in-person tournaments, and at this time, Melee's community produced something that would go down in gaming history forever. Project Slippy, a man's 6-month journey to create a free emulated online version of Melee with rollback netcode, which allowed for low latency matchmaking. This emulator effectively made online tournaments a reality and brought Melee to where it is today. Recently, Genesis 8 was supposed to be one of Melee's largest in-person events and was scheduled to take place this January. Unfortunately, it was pushed back due to the spread of the Omicron variant. The Genesis team incurred heavy losses as they took it upon themselves to refund as many of the entrants as they could. It was at this time a popular streamer named Ludwig Ahgren decided to host the largest Smash tournament of all time. The prize pool for this tournament is $30,000 and it's free to enter for everybody through Slippy. The tournament is called Ludwig Ahgren Championship Series 4 and will be taking place this coming weekend. Recently, I spoke with the head organizer for the tournament, Aiden Calvin. When I asked him his thoughts of him and Ludwig saving Melee, this is what he had to say.
I don't think we're saving the Melee community. The community has a lot more figures that pull it along and build it up than us. We're just lucky to be in a spot where we have the money and time to pop up cool things once in a while. And as people still very connected to the scene, it's still fun and rewarding to do that.
So how difficult is it to run the largest Smash tournament ever?
It is challenging to put together an online tournament this big, but not nearly as much as an offline event. Online events have a lot less moving parts, and while this many people is a challenge, it's ultimately expected to go smoothly with the TO staff we brought on board and the resources to run the online events allotted to us through Smash GG.
Do you want to take a second to give a shout out to your team and talk about how you think everything's going?
Jade and Contra, among other moderation staff, are leading the TO charge with Wheat from Melee Stats helping manage seating. That's expected to all go pretty smoothly.
Finally, boys, let me get in here. I really want to be able to do this full time and bring more incredible videos to you guys. So to help me on my journey, why don't you hit a like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your friends. See ya.